Peggy, I'm back. This is Peggy. I'm back again with another video talking about why I like Etsy. I like Etsy for a whole lot of reasons. I've got a few specifics jotted down here to make sure I don't forget to mention them. But basically, my biggest thing with Etsy is that I'm a fangirl. I started off on Etsy 4 years ago. Etsy was a lot smaller than it is now. I will say that. When I started on Etsy, there was about 1 to 2 million sellers. Now there's like 7.5 million sellers, and that's in 4 years, thanks to certain global situations. It's also exploded in popularity. I don't know what, I do not remember what the customer base was when I started, but now there are over 90 million people globally buying on Etsy. So you have a built-in audience. Etsy comes with a built-in audience, which means that at its worst, I can still expect some sales no matter what. Now, because Etsy has 7.5 million sellers, there is a lot of competition for that business. I'm not going to lie. I mean, if you're starting Etsy with this, if you're starting, it's a bit of a con for a lot of people. Etsy's so big that it'll take me forever to be noticed. And that could be true. It depends on what you're selling, depends on where you're selling it, who you're talking to. I will say that regardless of whether or not Etsy has a built-in audience, if you're going onto Etsy with any serious earnings goals in mind, you really need to have a plan to engage an audience outside of Etsy so that you can drive some of your own traffic. But that's a separate thing, because depending on why you're in Etsy, the built-in audience, that could be all you need. Now, I don't advertise because I don't really need to. It's just me working by myself, but Etsy does have the option to pay for advertising right in the Etsy platform. For some people, it's great. For some people, it's a huge mistake, but it is there. And I don't know that other platforms are offering that. And I don't know if, I mean, some people, the haters say it's a money grab, but the people that are building their businesses on this say that it's a great way to build your business. So that's pretty much up to the individual. I advertise at $1 a day when I bother to advertise at all. So it's there for people who find that important. I don't find it important, so I'm not really particularly interested. So other things I like about Etsy, it's easy. It is beginner town. If you don't have a lot of experience with running an online business for yourself, it's a great place to start because it's not complicated to set up. Okay, coughing fit number 305. I'm fine. I just have a bit of a cough today. Probably just because the air's so dry in here. It's just weather being weather. Okay, Etsy is not that difficult to set up. There is a process. You have to provide some information. You can start your Etsy business by simply, there's mandatory information and then there's optional information. If you go in and you set up all the mandatory information, then you have a viable shop that's ready to go immediately. Now, Etsy can and will contact you to verify your identity, because people come in, open a shop, take the money, run. It happens in all platforms. Etsy's not some particularly Target or whatever, but it does happen. So it's their onboard security. I believe you have to do the same thing if you have an Amazon. If Amazon, eBay, they all require it. So no big deal there. Then once your basics are set up, they have a screaming shit ton of tools behind the scenes. They really do. You can set up integrated shipping so that once a person buys something, and I've never set up integrated shipping. Don't ask me how. I don't use it. I particularly found that it wasn't, I looked at it and found that it wasn't useful. I just do my own stuff. But you can set up your Etsy in such a way so that when a person buys a product, Etsy will say, okay, and this is what you bought, this is what the weights are, so this is what your shipping is going to cost. And then you just put your stuff in a box, click the button, and the label pops out, and the customer's paid for the shipping. Shipping is everybody's pet peeve, so shipping is really important. So it matters that the tool is there. There's so much stuff to access behind the scenes that will help as long as you use it properly. There's a bit of a con here though. Etsy has such a huge toolkit of things that you can and can't use, and they're going to recommend every single one of them. Hey, try this, might improve your sales. Hey, try this, might improve your sales. That people think they have to. Oh, if I don't do this, Etsy won't let me show up. Etsy will block me from showing up on the searches. So just to reassure anybody who's like listening to this going, oh, well, you're a fangirl. It's like, no, there's a ton of stuff on Etsy that I don't use. Oh, run a sale, run this, oh, Father's Day is coming up. Click this button to automatically run a Father's Day promotion. I don't do that. My product is not a Father's Day type product. Click this button. Click this button to offer your customers free shipping over a certain dollar value. I actually offer that. I was already doing, if you spend over a certain amount, I'll give you free shipping. So I just did it through their button. It's like, okay, this is fine. If you do these things, you will get a star seller badge. It's like, I don't do those things, so I don't want your badge. And I'm not being hurt by that. I still show up in searches. There's one of the big cons of Etsy is that it's big enough, just like Amazon, Walmart, all the big boys. Once something gets big enough, you start to get your little community of haters that no matter what somebody does with that thing, oh, this is just proof of how horrible and evil they are. And it's like, no, 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 no. Most of what Etsy offers, you don't have to opt into. But Etsy offers these. These are tools. If I have a toolkit and if I have a bunch of people over there working on some generic shit and no two people are working on the exact same thing, I'm going to go, hey, I've got this toolkit and let me give you a tour of what's in it. And that's all that's really happening. If you don't have a star seller badge because you don't track your shipping or because you only do or you only check your messages once a week and not every single day, Etsy doesn't care. As long as you're following the rules, Etsy doesn't care if you don't use their perks, their tools, their whatever. Very little of what Etsy offers is mandatory. People actually believe Etsy is like, oh, sign up, do this, and you'll get Etsy labels. People constantly complain about shipping, so Etsy is constantly rolling out tools to help people improve their shipping experience as a seller. And people are always complaining, going, Etsy's making me ship for free. It's like, Etsy never told you had to ship for free. You decided that you had to ship for free. Just don't do it. Okay, so I'm off on a tangent because this is what I hear. People don't go to the social media groups and the forums for advice until they're having a problem. So by the time they get there, they're already pissed and everything's making them angry. So you see it all. You see it all. The good news is that Etsy has 7.5 million sellers. The stuff that I see behind the scenes in these groups are coming from an incredibly tiny minority. They really are. But this incredibly tiny minority likes to scream the loudest. So there's always one. There's always one in every room. There's always, no matter where you go or no matter what you do, there's always that one guy that you wish wasn't there, and they come back with something more and more. You know, if they're not, it's like they're just jumping up and down for attention. Anyway, I don't know. Sometimes they really are having a problem and just don't understand. And once it's explained to them, they're fine. And sometimes they are having a problem, they don't understand. Once it's explained to them, they just lose their ever-loving shit. So you just don't know what you're getting, right? Anyway, there are a lot of tools that you can use behind the scene to improve on your experience, and you don't have to use them all. I don't know. I keep looking for information about other platforms. I don't see a lot of that happening elsewhere. It's like, this is what's going on. This is what you can do. We're not doing. We don't care about the rest. And I don't know if that's true or not. I've never tried to open a shop elsewhere. I've looked into a couple of things as a possibility. Like, you know, what happens if I do find something that I think is a better platform? It's like, I'm not going to find that if I'm not looking. So I do keep my eyes open, but I haven't found anything that offers more benefits than Etsy, at least for what I need and for how I do business. Okay. So the other thing that Etsy has is an extensive seller handbook, and it's freaking huge. If you print it off, you're looking at a 500-page novella. Well, not novella. Novellas are short. Yeah, you're looking at an epic. If you sat down and just started going through the Etsy seller's handbook, you could probably be there for a couple of weeks just absorbing the content. And it's all cross-linked and cross-references and this and that and this and that. One of the cons of the Etsy seller's handbook is if you're not in the US, a lot of the information doesn't apply to you, or doesn't apply in the same way, or the information is incomplete because Etsy's only able to provide a certain base level of information, and it's on you to get the rest of the information. But here's the truth. Regardless of how helpful you do or don't find the seller handbook to be, it's always on you to verify this. Etsy keeps everything as up to date as they can, but they are not going to provide you with every single detail in detail because they just can't. They just don't have they just can't. Nobody can. I mean, if you go onto Amazon and look up their seller database of questions and information and blah, 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 you're going to find the same problem. So Etsy's no better or no worse than anybody else. But I do find the fact that they have an extensive handbook and they have an extensive set of forums behind the scenes on Etsy for sellers so that you can go get help and information as you need it. And like I said, it's a pain that you have to wade past the angry people of the world sometimes, but because the people that are doing well, it's like, oh, I'm doing well, I've got no questions. They're not hanging out in the forum. So you got to get past. Sometimes you got some people to wade through. Anyway, the seller handbook is extensive. It covers virtually any topic that you can think of. It doesn't give you all the answers, but it gives you the starting point to get solid information. And if it's in the handbook, then that is what they're supporting. That is what they're doing. So it gives you a lot of ideas of what they're doing. I've already mentioned the integrated shipping options. Shipping is everybody's worst nightmare. So Etsy has a lot of options set up in their shipping to help you decide who you're shipping to. Like you can cut off certain countries because that can be a thing. I've cut off a few countries. There's a few countries with such horrible rates of package loss that I just decide not to take the risk. And I have only ever had I've only ever had 2 orders from this country. Both went missing. It's like, I need to turn this country off. 2 orders in 4 years and both went missing. That's a problem I don't need, right? So I don't make it a habit of just going, anyway, that's just me. So integrated shipping, and again, if you are selling online, then obviously every single thing that you do has to go in a package and go in the mail. Shipping is everybody's nightmare, everybody's pet peeve. The fact that they have so many options that you can consider and they're integrated and built right into the platform is huge. It really is, because other platforms are, you must ship, okay, eBay, you must ship, and you must ship tracked, and you must ship under these certain conditions, and it's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. There's people that there are some, sometimes I don't track. It's like sometimes tracking is so expensive based on where it's going to that it's just worth the risk to not bother. Do I do it all the time? No. Do I do it? But it doesn't matter. So Etsy lets you make the choice. Other platforms don't, and that can be a huge problem for people, especially if they're selling lower value items or items that just require different handling. Okay. So yeah, it's popular, which means it's easy to get information and advice. It's easy to get help, feedback. That's fine. One of the biggest reasons why I like Etsy, and this is just me. I've worked on the back end of a couple of different online businesses. So when I see somebody's buy from my buy from my personal website, it's like, depending on how you set up your website, you can see my credit card information. And that's huge to me. That's a huge privacy issue. If I have to enter my credit card somewhere, I want to know that nobody's seeing it, that it's not an issue. So Etsy handles that. Etsy handles all the credit card stuff. I do not see your credit card details, period. And this is a very big piece of security for me. It's a very big piece of security for a lot of people, because there's people, I bought this thing from an online store. I don't know why 6 weeks later my credit card was compromised. Well, because those guys could see your credit card information. And you don't know who those guys are. You don't know who those guys are. When you're buying from a www, you do not know how they've set up their website. And you can tell. I'm not going to go into if I want to buy something online, I'm not going to go in and do their who is and do their lookups and verify. Because if you go to view source, you can see what the platform is that they're on. You can see if it's Shopify or if it's their own private website or stuff like that. But that doesn't. I'm not on Shopify. I don't know what they see. So I'm not crapping on Shopify. But I'm saying that when you're buying from a private website, you could be buying from somebody who is able to view your credit card information, and this can be a problem. And I'm just not comfortable. We have one credit card that we use for online stuff like that. But everybody has their own personal views on security. And Etsy's, I don't see the credit card. I don't have access to the credit card. I get paid. So when you're paying me, you're paying Etsy. It's a portal. So you're paying, the money goes to Etsy, who then that redirects it, who then takes off their fees and redirects it to me. When I do a refund, I am refunding the money to Etsy, who then reverts all the fees and returns the money to you. So the two things that they're doing is they are the people that keep they handle all the background, all the financial stuff, which, like I said, I've worked on a couple of different online businesses, and both of them could see your credit card. But no, don't get me wrong, this was like 10 plus years ago. So I don't know what the protocols are nowadays, but a lot of companies can see your credit card information. I saw firsthand just how easy it is to set up and do it. And I'm not trying to cry wolf. I've never had my credit card compromised that I'm aware of. So, but I'm also more comfortable on sites where the credit card information can be verified as secure. It's that simple. So there's that. Other reasons why I like Etsy, I like the interface. Etsy was designed for people that make handmade. And this is probably, I probably should have addressed this one first. This is probably something that should be right up there in number one. Most people looking to sell stuff online have never, it's kind of crazy. Most people that are trying to sell stuff online have never worked in an online retail environment, have never worked in a retail environment. They just simply have a product that they'd like to sell. They're learning everything from scratch. Etsy is a great place for beginners. It's really simple. There's a bit of a con to that because beginners, I started my Etsy shop 3 days ago. How come I haven't had $1,000 in sales yet? Oh, Etsy must suck. That can be a thing. It's like those, the kids who give up too soon. I don't know what to describe. But there's a lot of people that it's really, really easy to set up on Etsy without a lot of experience, without a lot of retail experience, without a lot of customer service experience, without a lot of computer experience. It's really easy. It's easy to set up a listing. There's a lot of moving parts in a listing, but once the listing is made, you don't have to, once the listing is made, you list it, you're done. As a matter of fact, Etsy has a copy feature, which anybody ever wondered why my listing descriptions are all identical? It's like copy, paste, copy, paste. I just copy it. I copy it. I'm good to go. I've got all the nitty gritty worked out. Even if you're going to change every single thing about the listing, all the really fucked up stuff, like all your custom shipping options and stuff, copy. Just copy. Use the copy. Set it up once. Use your copy function. Change the fields that you have to change. Move on. Get on with your day. Etsy was initially designed for beginners, and it's still beginner friendly. They offer more and more and more and more tools, which confuses people, but the reality of those tools is that you're not obligated to use them. There's people that have barely anything in their shops and make a very good living doing it. They do. There's people that I've seen shops that are like, wow, this is a bloody mess. Look, they've got like all these sales because they're selling to their friends and family. They're selling through local craft shows where having a really, really well done shop doesn't even matter. It's like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm in this, and I've seen it. I've seen it because people are in the social medias there. And they're like, oh yeah, I don't worry about that because, I'm in this online group for people that make this thing, crochet, quilting, whatever. I'm in this online group for this sort of stuff. So whenever I selling it, I just put it on Etsy because, they're across the country. So I have to do something. And then I just let them know. And yeah, so nobody, I'm in a part of a community that doesn't care about that stuff. And you can do that on Etsy. You can do that and it's fine. Etsy currently, another big plus of Etsy. Okay, when you are selling in an online environment, you are responsible for sales tax. There's different rules, there's different regulations, and there's different thresholds. One big secret of sales tax is that if I am sitting here in British Columbia, Canada, me paying sales tax everywhere else in the country is the honor system. Technically, I'm supposed to, but nobody's ever going to come and check. I don't owe, if I sell something to Ontario, I don't owe Ontario sales tax unless I voluntarily pay it. There's more to it than that, and it's not that simple anymore. But if I have a product, I put it on my shop, somebody from wherever in the States buys my product, Etsy takes care of the sales tax now. Etsy's been taking care of the sales tax for a couple of years now, because this is not Etsy's choice. And a lot of people, Etsy is ripping me off by taking sales tax. No, this is not Etsy's choice. state, federal, local laws in both Canada and the United States, I don't know about your country if you're from somewhere else, have mandated that Etsy, as the service provider, must now handle the taxes. So now, there's some stuff that's specific to Canada, but so what's going on now is that when I sell, in Canada we have PST and GST. In the States, you just have state sales tax. I don't think you have a goods and services tax. I can't remember. Maybe some states do, right? So as states are updating as individual states are updating their tax guidelines, they are updating it to include the fact that companies like Etsy have to deduct the sales tax on top of the sale. This is why sometimes when you're on Etsy, you'll have sales tax and sometimes you won't. Depends on what state you're in. And it depends on how far along they are. Well, if you're purchasing online, from some websites are doing this and some websites aren't. It's just a matter of how far into the compliance they are. But what this means is that nobody is now going to be coming after me going, why haven't you paid your taxes? Now I have to pay income taxes on everything I earn. Don't get me wrong, I'm paying taxes. But why have I not, as a business, collected and remitted sales taxes? Because I don't have to anymore. I don't have to. I'm in a category where this is now all being taken care of for me, and Etsy handles it. I don't have to see it, I don't have to deal with it, and I don't have to report it, so I don't have to be saddled with it. So now I think it's over half of the states now in the US have legislation that says that sales tax must be collected at the point of sale, which is the online portal, by the service provider, which is Etsy. Canada's just recently done the same thing. So now these states and provinces are now going to be getting their proper sales tax revenue, and they're getting it with no muss and fuss to me, which is nice. If I have a standalone website or go through certain portals that aren't up to date on all of this, I can be looking at different groups and organizations and states and provinces coming after me going, you didn't submit your sales tax. So we need to sort this out. You owe us money now. I don't need to worry about that anymore. It's not my problem anymore. This is awesome. This is awesome. So what else do I like about Etsy? I just like it. It's easy to use. It's easy to navigate. You can, you can purchase from Etsy as a guest. If you did not already know this, you can purchase from Etsy as a guest. You do not have to go, if you are a purchaser, you do not have to go through the hassle of signing up for an account. A lot of people really feel that this is very important security that matters to them. I do not want to sign up. I do not want my credit card on file. I do not want my address on file. I do not want this as a permanent thing. You can just go in and shop as a guest. When you're in the checkout, you just click checkout as a guest, do your stuff the same way as you would if you were shopping on any other website, and be on your way. You still have access to Etsy support. I still don't see your credit card information. I see your address, of course. I have to be able to mail it to you. I don't see the transactional side of things. I don't interact with your money except for receiving the portion of it that Etsy sends me. So you do not have to have an account. Now, if I want to buy on Amazon, I have to have an account. I can't purchase on Amazon as a guest. I can't purchase on any company. I don't know of any place else, and I know there's places, trust me, I know there's places, I just can't think of them off the top of my head. I don't know of any place off the top of my head right this minute that lets you purchase as a guest. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of the big players will let you do that. So you can purchase as a guest. That is probably for me one of the big things, because I've had people say to me, oh, I really wish you weren't on Etsy. I don't like Etsy. It's like, and you don't have to like Etsy. Just because I'm an Etsy fangirl doesn't mean that you have to like Etsy. And I was like, well, just so you know, you can purchase as a guest. You can go in and just purchase as a guest. It's a simple process, really easy. So Etsy was designed for beginners, so that means you can start out. It can be your beginner business. You don't have to break the bank to get started. You have a lot of support. You have a lot of access to further support. You have access to a very large audience. There's a lot, and yeah, there's a lot of competition on Etsy. Like people like to complain, why am I not being seen? Why is this not happening? Why is this not happening? Those are things that you learn as you go. Those are definitely things that you learn as you go. I will say one of the first things to prioritize for yourself as a new Etsy seller is to do not walk in with a money goal. Have a money goal, nothing wrong with that, but don't walk in going, I just got laid off, I'm starting a business today and I expect to make a living income by tomorrow. It's not going to happen. not unless you already have everything that you need for not unless you already have everything you need for your success, including a customer base that's willing to follow you. So there's that. That's the biggest, and it's not a downsize. That's what happens everywhere. This is not just an Etsy problem. It doesn't matter what the platform is. You will see these complaints all the time. And again, people don't go to the forums to tell you how wonderful things are. People go to complain. So you will see a lot of that. Don't make the mistake of thinking that that's everybody's experience. Keep in mind, 7.5 million sellers. Even a website with 100,000 people on it is only a drop in the bucket when it comes to how many other people are selling successfully and having no problems. So anyway, kind of got on a bit of my rant. I am a fangirl. I do like Etsy. I get really frustrated with people who just are determined to be the squeaky wheel or what have you, or, it's fine. But it's fine. It's whatever it is. I'm going to stop here. I'm a fangirl. I like it for a whole lot of reasons. I like it for the reasons. I like it for a whole lot of reasons. I think it's really a shame that so many people just get their jollies by trashing it when they don't even know how it works. But it's like anything in life. If it bleeds, it leads. And there's more people. The people that are willing to bitch the most are the ones that get the most attention. So I guess that's that. But Etsy is awesome. I love it. I have no problems with it. I find it to be really easy, really intuitive, really simple to get through. It's a really easy platform to be on. It's got a huge fan base. For every person complaining, there's 1,000 people that are like, this is awesome. What's your effing problem? So keep that in mind. I wish more people would do more stuff saying Etsy's great and here's why. But I guess people just don't want to watch that. I don't know. Watch this and tell me that you've watched it and comment and do all the things, like and comment and subscribe and help me take over the world, because that is my goal today, this week, this month, this year. That's been my goal my whole life. I just want to run the world. I'd be crap at it, but I want to give it a shot, okay? Anyway, that's it. That's my opinion. That's why I like Etsy. That's why I think a lot of the negativity that you hear about Etsy is kind of garbage, because that's just most of it's just not true. And the stuff that is true is usually true for people who have tried to screw around and break the rules and had problems. And that's a different issue altogether. In the meantime, I'm going to get going. You guys have a great day, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.